Hi, everyone. This is your host, Kristen Howe, and I am really excited to welcome you to our call today with our guest, Karen Curry. Karen is a human design specialist and author who teaches people how to use human design. Now, human design is a personality assessment system that combines the wisdom of many different teachings, including the Chinese I Ching, the Hindu Chakra system, the Judaic Kabbalah, Eastern and Western Astrology, and quantum physics. Karen is passionate about helping people discover their unique magnificence and life purpose. She says human design is a practical tool that can help us make easy but radical life changes. Now, she's known for her humorous and easy teaching style, which I love, and she travels and teaches people worldwide how to unlock their true potential and remember the abundance of who they really are. And on today's call with Karen, you'll discover how to find your life purpose. You'll discover ways to use your energy correctly so you always feel vibrant and alive. You'll discover strategies to master your emotional energy and techniques to find your unique work and money blueprint, and you'll probably even discover why you feel stuck. So, Karen, I'm so excited. I can't wait to share this with everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to the call.
Oh, thank you, Kristen. I'm excited to be here.
It's really exciting for me because, this is, by the way, an amazing group of people. They've been with me for a long time. I do not believe we have ever talked about human design, and that's why I was like, I have to have Karen on because I just love your approach and I love your energy, so you're the perfect person to share this with everyone. What I'd love to do is start by having you shared. We'd love to get to know you and how you got to us. Are you any turnarounds maybe that you've experienced in your life, perhaps where human design helped you, things like that just give us a little insight into Karen.
I love this question, and at the same time, I always cringe at this question because I have a good friend, and we always joke, I'm a 28-year overnight success. Mm-hmm. Meaning that, like everyone, I think, or probably, frankly, I think I'm very much a late bloomer. Way behind everyone, I've spent a lot of time with my face pressed on the concrete going, well, how did I get here this time? But certainly, to give you the very, very, very short version, I'm actually not anymore. I'm about to get married, but I was for many years a full-time single mom, raising 4 children and eventually 5 children on my own without any financial support. So I had to run a business and run a family all by myself for many, many years. And the way that I got there was the result of a lot of tripping on the sidewalk. So in the course of trying to support my family, and for me, I always had a very strong drive as a mother to show my children that you don't have to live life inside the box. I was always sort of a technically unemployable human being. I think I had a job for 6 months once. And it was always important for me to show them, that you have to live true to yourself. And I don't really know where that came from inside of me, other than that was a seed that's been inside of me for most of my life. And in the course of showing my children that, I also showed them how to go bankrupt, how to accrue $80,000 in debt, how to lose your home to foreclosure, how to have your car repossessed. My kids learned a whole lot of things about the dark side of that journey, at least my dark side of that journey. And certainly they also saw me really discover some of the brilliance and the truth of who I am and what I'm here to do. And as I moved into a more full expression of living it out, thanks to my human design, they saw me turn that around. And certainly over the course of the last 13 years, I've gone from being literally almost homeless to really being in a position where I now am not even full-time, actually 20 hours a week doing the work that I love and sharing human design with the world, and still being able to be here now with my 4-year-old and in the process of getting married. The secret for me in terms of manifesting what was correct for me in my life, and this is about me, but this is about everyone, because this is what I think is universally true for everyone. The secret was for me discovering who I really am and making sure that my life was not in any way, shape, or form, and this is scary, and this was certainly scary for me at the time, but making sure that my life was not in any way, shape, or form a compromise. I could not and was not really allowed energetically to compromise my right work, to compromise my truth when I was speaking, to compromise showing up in any way that was less than what was the full expression of myself. And, when I really gave myself permission after really seriously many, many, many years of struggling, really gave myself permission to say, okay, this is who I am, and I just got to be me, so to speak, things started to click, not instantly, but bit by bit by bit, to where my life became a really nice expression of who I really am. And when that happened, a lot of the pain disappeared, a lot of the struggle disappeared. And I mean, certainly there's always ups and downs, but the baseline frequency has been joy and abundance ever since that place. So.
Wow, I love that. Okay, so explain for everybody, because I have gone through, I've had a human design reading and all of that stuff, and so cool and so enlightening, really. I was like, oh, it really just like, you pull back the curtains. And it even gives you some freedom to, at least in my experience, go, oh, okay, so that is who I am. So that makes complete sense. Right. So tell me, so let's explain to everybody here, because some of them may not have ever even heard of human design, what it is.
Well, the human design is actually, it's very similar to astrology, except different. It's a synthesis of Eastern and Western astrology, the Chinese I Ching, the chakra system, Kabbalah, and quantum physics, as you said in the introduction. Mm-hmm. It works very much like astrology in that we take your birth information, we plug it into a computer program, thank God, because there were years when we were hand doing charts. We plug it into a computer program, and it generates a chart. But the chart doesn't look anything like an astrology chart. Basically, this chart is a triangle, and contained within that triangle are 9 different geometric shapes that are all interconnected through a series of channels and lines. And what this chart tells us is, first and foremost, it tells us how you operate energetically in the world. It's very much like, in my background, my parents had a construction business, and I'm marrying an architect, so this construction theme keeps following me through my life. But when you're building a building, you hire somebody to come and do the electricity, and when somebody comes and does the electricity, they're not just sort of hoping that they get the wiring right. They actually have a map for like where the wires go and where the plugs go and where the lighting goes. Your human design chart is very much like that electrical map. It shows you energetically how you're hardwired. And when you understand your natural hardwiring, what you also discover is the way in which you can most effectively make decisions. It shows you your working style, because a lot of us are not here to work in the traditional way that we think of as working, and yet our collective consciousness is such that we are taught that, in order to make money in the world, you have to work, and if you want to make more money, you have to work harder. And while that's true for a certain amount of the population, there are some people where that's really a very, very difficult thing to do. And it's not a personality problem. It's not a moral flaw or a character flaw. It's just some people are designed to work and work hard if they choose, and some people are not. So it'll show you your work style. It'll show you what you take in from the world around you, which to me is always one of the most enlightening pieces, I think, for people, is discovering that sometimes the energies that you feel and perceive and sense in the world are not even actually your own. These are energies that you take in from the people around you and from the world around you. And even some people are so sensitive that they'll even experience and perceive when things happen on the planet far away from them. They can sense that there's a disturbance in the matrix, so to speak. It shows you how you bond and what some of your bonding strategies are. It teaches you what your best learning style is. It's really different from any of the other systems that are out there in that it really gives you the how part of who you are, which to me is lovely, because I think it's not a system that is going to make any other system invalid or obsolete, because it doesn't work that way, but it's complementary to just about everything out there. You can use human design in conjunction with energy therapy, because it'll help you target the energy therapy more accurately in terms of where you want to put your healing energy or where somebody might be blocked or stuck. If you have a traditional astrology chart, which I think is more thematic and even predictive in nature, it'll show you what you need to do to create the destiny that is yours in the chart. It really shows you, it just really gives you the nitty-gritty kind of step-by-step stuff of who you are, and most importantly, how you operate. It's kind of like an instruction manual or an owner's manual for your life.
I love that. Okay, I want to play devil's advocate and have, the people that are like, okay, well, so I find all this out, but then that's nice. Like, what the heck does that do for me? So we can use this to, for instance, find our life purpose, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what are some other things that human design can do for people other than just sort of tell you about yourself, you were even sort of hinting at it, then you can start to adjust how you deal with the world. Is that basically?
Yes. Then you can start adjusting how you deal with the world. The biggest piece that design gives, that I think at least, that design gives you is basically it shows you that there are 5 key different ways of making decisions. And the reason why I think this is personally so important, I'm a practical gal. I like to make sure that everything that we study and learn has practical applications. And if you think about your life and where you are in your life right now, the reason you are where you are right now is a result of the decisions that you've made all along the way. Your current life today is a reflection of the sum total of all the choices that you've made. And if you don't like where you are right now because of maybe making decisions that perhaps you regret or wish you had had, a different style of doing it, or maybe you just didn't know how to make the decision, because making a decision sometimes can be really overwhelming. You got a lot of thoughts, you got a lot of feelings, you have a lot of data. We have tons of data anymore, and on top of that, you probably have even belief systems. If you're like any normal human on the planet, you have belief systems or attachments to your decisions, and there's pressure to make the right one, because if you don't, you'll miss an opportunity, and then your life will be forever hell, right? So, learning and knowing how to make good decisions is really crucial to either continuing your life the way you choose it or giving you the power to make different choices so that you can start taking your life in a different direction that's more satisfying, more joyful, more abundant, more in alignment with what you really want for yourself. So, when you understand your human design chart and you understand, in human design we talk about 5 types. The very, very human design can be extremely complicated if you want it to be. And it's delicious in its complexity. Don't get me wrong. I love the complexity. I wouldn't have been here for almost 14 years doing this every day. But the beauty of design is really in its simplicity. That when you understand which one of the 5 energy types that you are, and in human design there are 5 different energy types. Each energy type has a different style for making decisions. When you understand your energy type and your decision-making style, without having to know anything else about the system, you can go out in the world and very simply, very basically begin making choices in the way that's correct for your energy type. And when you do that, the way I kind of explain it, it's sort of like we have free will on this planet, okay? You can choose to do really pretty much whatever you want. But, there's a big but, right? A lot of times what we think we want or what we're out there trying to create really isn't true to who we are. And for years I taught a class called Prosperity Boot Camp. And in Prosperity Boot Camp, this is a class I basically taught for myself because I was still trying to figure this thing out. So every week I made myself go to my class. And in Prosperity Boot Camp, a lot of my students were there because they had been doing everything quote unquote right. They'd been following The Secret and doing the law of attraction and doing their vision boards and doing all their active manifesting. And they were having a modicum of success because the bottom line is, universal law is law. It works. But, if you're not really lining up and intentionally creating what's really true to yourself, you're probably not going to have the success that you want because you're not really going for what's real for you. And so the way I always teach it is like there's this baseline frequency that is the truth of who you are. It's yummy, it's delicious, it's abundant, but it's yummy and delicious and abundant for you and you only. It's your baseline frequency. We have free will to go anywhere else around that baseline frequency. If you're out in the world and your mother has told you that your lovability and success in the world is directly proportional to the amount of income that you make. And so unconsciously, and we're not blaming moms here. This isn't about blaming moms. I'm just giving this as an example. If you go out in the world and let's say you stumble upon the movie The Secret, okay, or whatever manifesting book you find, and you use all the techniques to try to create as much money as you can because you've got this unconscious pattern inside of you that says, who I am and the success of who I am and what I really am, and my whole status in the world is in alignment with how much money I make. And so I need to make a ton of money because that's the only thing that's going to make me feel loved and powerful and empowered and good in life. But your baseline frequency, the truth of who you are, is really not so much that you want to make a whole lot of money. That would be nice. And I'm not saying you can't have both, by the way. But your baseline frequency is, I don't really want to work at this job. I really want to be a writer. I really want to make a quiet contribution to the world by sharing my thoughts and ideas with the world. I would be very happy living in a beautiful house in a small town, having an organic garden in the backyard, tending to my chickens and writing. And yet you've got this whole other life over here that you've chosen through your free will. That's, I'm going to be a stockbroker and I'm going to make all this money and I'm going to have this great life. And you might even be effectively pulling off the money part, but yet somehow it's not working. And it's sort of creating in you this quiet desperation of something's not right, something's not fitting, I'm not happy, I'm miserable. And sometimes for some of us, even our bodies start to go, hey, soul who's living inside of this body I'm not cooperating with you anymore. I'm going to quit. I'm going to make your knee hurt. I'm going to make your hips fall apart. I'm going to make you have headaches all the time or whatever. And we struggle in that life of what we think we should be doing, and we miss the main point of over here, there's this other baseline frequency that is in alignment with who we really are, with who our energy is, what our soul contracted for, what we're really wanting. And the more discrepancy there is between that baseline frequency and you going out and living this other life that you think you should be living, the greater their pain is in your life in some way, shape, or form. And I find in people's lives, the more you continue to ignore the true self, the baseline frequency, the louder the pain gets until you hit 50. 50 seems to be a big mark. You hit 50 and everything falls apart. It's like marriage falls apart, the money falls apart, you get laid off, all of a sudden, bam, it explodes. And you think, oh my God, what did I do? How could I fail so miserably? When it's not actually even a failure. It's just your baseline frequency is calling you saying, yoo-hoo, come back over here because it's so much better on this side. So stop trying to be what you're not and really try to be who you are. As I said, you always have the choice. You always have the free will to create it however you want. But if you're really trying to create separate from who you are, it's usually not very comfortable. And we all know that. And even if we're doing everything right and applying all the techniques correctly, the amount of success that you have using the techniques correctly won't really work until you're lined up with what's really correct for you. A lot of times people will say to me, oh, but that sounds so limiting. It's an unlimited universe. Why can't we just do whatever we want? And I said, you absolutely can do whatever you want. When you really connect with what you truly want, with what's in alignment with how you're designed, what's in alignment with what your soul intended, what's in alignment with ultimately with your heart, when you move into that correct place, it doesn't feel limiting. It actually feels incredible because that's where you want to be. It's kind of like the analogy I use sometimes is, if you imagine, I'm a nurse by training, so I always have to go back to physiology, okay? If you imagine a liver cell, and the liver cell is sitting in the liver going, I really just want to be a heart cell. This is dumb. Being a liver cell is boring. I want to be a heart cell. And the liver cell tries really, really hard to be a heart cell and starts to get it. If you look at heart cells all have their own intrinsic beat. You can take them out of the body and they keep beating even in petri dishes. So let's say the liver cell starts trying really hard to have its own beat. It's not going to work. First of all, it's going to spend a lot of effort trying to be something it's not. And ultimately, the rest of the liver is going to go, okay, this dude's really whack. We need to get rid of him. Send in the white blood cells. Get rid of it. We are most happy and most joyful and, frankly, most abundant in the expanded definition of abundance, not just the money definition of abundance. We are most abundant when we are being true to ourselves. And what human design shows us or gives us is the strategy, a decision-making strategy that ultimately allows you to kind of connect to that place that's you, that's the real you, where all of a sudden, I always tell my students, this is where magic happens. This is where synchronicity happens and things start falling into place and things feel easy because that's the truth of who you are. That's where you're lining up vibrationally with the vibration of who you are, that baseline frequency.
Yeah, and I think that's key. I love that you just said that because there's an element of the more authentic we are, the more we really get back to that true version of ourselves, even from the standpoint of money and all of the stuff on sort of the physical plane of things. Well, that stuff does tend to show up easier. So I love that really what this is, we're talking about removing that struggle of being who you're not. Is that a fair way of saying it? Okay, that's like a really distilled version, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That was. I should have said that 10 minutes ago.
No. You're far more interesting. And then I just want to make sure that I got it so that there's not something else to like poke at. I would love. Is it possible? And I don't know if it is. Is it possible for you to share what you said? There are 5 types, correct?
Yes.
So can you share that with us? By the way, something I want to point out too, I love that what we're talking about here is your energy type, because that is so in alignment with universal laws and manifesting and all of that. This isn't like, what type of, I don't know, action taker are you? This is literally from an energetic standpoint. And I just wanted to point that out to everybody. Okay, so go for it. Let us know what the 5 types are.
The 5 types, the names of the 5 types are called the manifestor. And before we even go further into discussing it, I'm not a big fan of the vocabulary in human design. In my next life, I'm going to come back and redesign it and give it better words. But just think about this. If you are not a manifestor type, and most of us are not, that does not mean you don't manifest. Everybody does manifest in design. It's just that the way in which you manifest is different according to your energy type. So the first type is called the manifestor. Then we have generators, manifesting generators, projectors, and reflectors. So what I'll do is I'm going to go through, if this is easy for you, Kristen, makes sense, I'll go through each type and give you a little bit about each type. And then, just interrupt me at any point in time, because as you can probably tell, I can talk about this forever.
I love how passionate you are about it. I want to quickly comment on something that you just said about the whole, the manifestor type. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's no type that is better than the other. So exactly. Because of the name of the type and the label, I think there might be a tendency for people to be like, with sight unseen, not knowing what it means. Ooh, I want to be that one. Whichever one you are, it's perfect. It's the perfect one for you.
Well, the analogy I always use is it's like we're like a big puzzle.
Yeah.
And every part is important. If you have a piece missing, the puzzle looks wonky. So, everybody has an important role. We can't have one without the other. And certainly, definitely, there's not one type that's better than the other. Definitely. I know the types. We'll get to the types that I'm going to talk about in just a second. But there is a type that definitely, they always think they're manifestors. And then they're like, when they're not, they're like, whoa.
Right. Man.
Let's talk first about the manifestor. The manifestor is approximately 8% of the population, so they're not that common. And the manifestor in human design has a decision-making strategy that's kind of interesting. The manifestor is actually, the reason why it's interesting is because we're all kind of trained to act like manifestors. We're taught, just frickin' do it, or go out there and make it happen, or manifest your destiny. And we all think that's how we're supposed to be successful. We're supposed to go out in the world, pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, put our, gird our loins and go out into the world, right? And the ironic part is that usually manifestors, their parents are really quick to start training them to, no, don't do that. Stand back, hold back, don't go out into the world. And the reason why is this: the manifestor is a type that is a pure creative being. They are, and we're all creative beings, but the manifestor creates very differently than the rest of us. The manifestor has literally, I like to call it a nonverbal creative flow, meaning they go out and they get a sense or an idea of what they want to do, and they just go do it. And as they're in the process of doing it or creating it, they're not sitting there in their head going, okay, step 1, first I'm going to go do this. Now, step 2, now I'm going to go do that. It's literally a wordless creative flow. And the way it looks when you're looking at it from an outside perspective is you're looking at a person that is with their head down and their jaw set in determination. They're just going about and doing something. My former mother-in-law is a manifestor, and she would just go do stuff. Like, she'd be up at 2 o'clock in the morning when we would go stay with her at her house, and she would come get your laundry and do your laundry at 2 o'clock in the morning. And, she would never say anything. She would just you wake up next morning and there would be your laundry folded at the end of the bed. And that at bedtime when you went to bed, it was not that way, They're doers, and they're pure creative doers. But there's a challenge with that. We all think, I want to be a manifestor. And I say, let's look at it a little bit more closely. First of all, when you're a manifestor, you don't always know for sure which direction to go. You have a certain, what I call, spaghetti throwing way of creating, meaning there's a lot of energy that, if you're a manifestor type, it's about throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. And that means that sometimes stuff doesn't stick. And so you can't get too invested in stuff until you see the outcome and decide whether that's really the direction you want to go or not. Because a manifestor is a nonverbal creative being, what happens a lot of times is they start to do things, and because they're not telling other people what they're doing. They're just doing. And people are looking at them and oftentimes either confused or concerned or worried because here goes this person that's just going to go do stuff and you don't know what they're doing. People will often try to stop them and say, these are the worst words you can say to a manifestor, by the way. Hey, can I help you? When you ask a manifestor something like that, or you have stopped them, they have to stop their nonverbal creative flow, look up, try to think about, okay, what is it that I'm doing? Okay, now I have to explain this thing that I'm doing to this person and put words to my very creative flow and try to explain, okay, here's what I'm doing. And then I have to explain to this person, no, I don't need help because trust me, I can do it 30 times faster than you. And if I had to stop and explain it to you and then watch you do it and then get frustrated with you because you didn't do it right or the way I was planning it anyway, and then have to go back and redo it, and then they get angry with you for asking them for help, you know. And so there's all this tension created around this person's creative flow. So when the manifestor goes about making a decision, the manifestor is not so much about making a decision. They don't really have a strategy for making a decision. They just do, okay? But before they really go engage in the doing, they have to stop first and examine who's going to be impacted by my actions and inform those people about what they're doing. Now, that's not natural for a manifestor. That's difficult, but it will save a manifestor a tremendous amount of grief. And I'm just going to give you a really quick example. If you're a manifestor, let's say you sit down and you want to go have movie night with your love. And your love goes into the other room to put on her sweatpants, and you go into the kitchen, and you're going to go pop some popcorn, and you realize, oh, my God, we're out of popcorn. The manifestor gets the car keys, gets in the car, goes to the grocery store. In the meantime, his love comes out of the bedroom in her sweatpants, ready to watch a movie, and all of a sudden he's gone. And where did he go? And he didn't even tell me where he's gone. I can't believe it. He does it to me all the time. You know, here we are. We're going to have a nice evening together. I don't know where he is. You know, and he forgot his cell phone, right? So the manifestor comes home, arms full of popcorn and goodies, and he even got flowers, right, because he's a sweetie. And here's this really angry woman who's mad at him now because he left and he didn't tell her where he was going, right?
Yep.
How, as though it's contrary to how they're naturally hardwired, how much more energy would he have saved in the long run if he had said, hey, sweetie, I'm going to go get some popcorn. I'll be right back.
Right.
So, yeah, it's totally different. The manifestor has to inform people before they take action. It minimizes a lot of tension and anger in their lives. It's not natural. It's not natural, but it's important. The second type, and actually this type is lumped into two subcategories, and some people who teach human design put all these people in one category. I always put them in two because I think the differences are subtle enough but yet important enough to pay attention to. The second type is called the generator type, and that's approximately 35% of the population. The generator is a type who is here to work. In fact, one of the life goals of the generator is to find their right work, or more importantly, to let their right work find them. The generator has a decision-making strategy that is about waiting for things to show up in their outer reality to confirm their inspirations. So let's give you an example. You are a generator, and you wake up, and you decide, okay, you know what? I really need to go on a vacation. Now, our natural tendencies, the way we're taught, you know, remember, we're all taught to go out and make it happen, right? Natural tendency for a generator is to get to work starting to create that vacation, right? You call up a travel agent, or you go to kayak.com and you start looking at what can I book. You go to work and you tell your boss, I'm going to take a break, right? That's not waiting. That's doing, okay? For a generator, for that decision to become correct, they need to get confirmation from outside of their brains, okay? They need to get confirmation in their outer reality, in their outer world, that that is indeed the correct choice to make. A lot of times in New Thought or in the New Age or whatever we want to call it, we talk about waiting for signs, right? A generator really needs to wait for signs before they know that a decision is correct. So let's say the generator knows their human design strategy and type. They wake up and they go, oh, I really need a vacation. I haven't been on vacation in 2 years. I just need a break, okay? They go to work and the company has switched insurance companies, and now to get your new insurance where you work, you have to go visit a nurse and get a physical. And when you're getting your physical, the nurse says to you, you know, you really need a vacation. Okay, bam, something has showed up outside of your brain. Okay, something showed up in your outer reality that is a confirmation of the thought that you had. Now you can go, oh, okay, I can now start making this decision or taking action to start creating this vacation, because now I have something to respond to. I have something that's shown up in my outer world that I can respond to tell me whether I'm going in the right direction or not. It's subtle, and it's not huge. It's not, a lot of times when people learn their strategies, like, oh, God, this is going to stop me dead in my track. I'm going to be sitting in my house for 10 years before something shows up. No. The thing is, for generators especially, something will show up probably before the afternoon is over. It happens pretty quickly with a generator. You're not going to be sitting for a long, long time. But you do need to gauge what's correct for you. There is this dance that if you are a generator that you do with the universe, and the universe is so unlimited and beautiful that in alignment with your intentions, if that intention is actually in alignment with the truth of who you are, meaning this is a pure desire, not something you thought your mother told you to do and you should do because your mother said so, or your father, or whatever.
Right.
If this is a true desire for you, then the universe is going to show you the way, and it's going to unfold it in front of you, and you don't have to get up in your head trying to figure out, okay, what's my next step? It's a very different way of being in the world, and a little bit counterintuitive because we're really not trained to wait very well. But it does really give you a different way of going out in the world and getting confirmation. And I'll share with you actually an example from my own life that was a really powerful example. When I first learned human design, as you can imagine, I got excited about it. So I thought, I'm going to go teach a workshop. An idea that popped into my head, right? So I went out, I got a hotel room to rent, I made flyers, I made little brochures and handouts, I did little press releases and released them to my local press, and went to go teach my workshop, and not a single person showed up. And I thought, okay, well, I sure didn't follow my strategy here. I just went out and made it happen, and it didn't. Okay? So I thought, well, I'm a manifesting generator, which is a generator type. I thought, I know I need to wait. So I thought, I'll just wait then. I'll see what happens, since it didn't work the first time. So I waited, and a couple of weeks later, I was explaining human design to a friend of mine, and she said, you should teach a workshop on this. This is amazing. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, I'm going to do an experiment. So I went back. I rented the same hotel room. I ran the same flyer, but I just changed the dates. Gave the press the same press release, but changed the dates. I had 32 people show up. And the only difference was the universe and I were engaged in this dance at that point. And it was a significant enough engagement in that dance that the outcome was significantly different. The beautiful part is, it is huge. And when you let go and let's dance like that with the universe as a generator and a manifesting generator type, when you let go and you dance that way, it allows the universe to show up for you, usually in a much more expanded way than your little brain can figure out by itself. So it really leaves you open to the magic, and it's quite profound. So, by the way, I have to go back and just say one more thing about the manifestors that I forgot to say that's important. Okay. The manifestor has a very important life purpose, and the life purpose of the manifestor is to actually initiate the people around them. It's in the process of doing and creating that other people get things to respond to or opportunities open up for them. The manifestor is very much like the billiard ball on the table. They're the ones that oftentimes will bang into the rest of us and get us started. The generators, which are the types that are here to wait to respond, they are more the builders of the world. And part of your role as a generator is to go out and be part of the workforce of the world. Now, the third type, which is also a generator type, we call the third type the manifesting generator. They're kind of like a 2-for-1 hybrid. They have every quality, just like the generator, of needing to find the right work, of needing to wait and respond. But they do have a little bit of the manifestor quality to them. They can at least initiate conversations. They don't have to wait for conversations to get started. They will move a little bit faster than a pure generator, at least in the beginning. And they can have some of that nonverbal creative flow stuff. And it is difficult for them sometimes to stop and tell people what they're doing or to accept or allow for help. So they also need to wait to respond, just like the pure generator. They are here to work and build, just like the pure generator, but they also need to inform, just like the manifestors, because oftentimes their energy can be so intense that, again, they go off and they do something, and people are sort of left in the dust going, what just happened? So the informing piece can oftentimes make it a little bit easier. The next type that we want to talk about is called the projector. Projectors are about 20% of the population. And this is the type that I oftentimes spend a lot more time talking about, at least obviously not so much in this hour, but in the world in general. The projector is here to manage and guide and direct other people. They are inherently and beautifully wise about helping other people. And so here we have this beautiful, loving, intuitive, sensitive, insightful human who has a strategy about making decisions and going out in the world that's very different, very, very different than how most of us are conditioned. The projector has to wait for a recognition or an invitation to go out and make a big choice or decision in life. Now, if you think waiting to respond is counterintuitive, think about waiting for an invitation. How many of us really believe in the core of our beings that if we wait for an invitation to go do something, an invitation will show up? Not many of us, at least initially. But if you're a projector, you recognize inherently the wisdom in this. You know, a projector can stand next to the people they love, their family members, and they can sit there and watch the craziness of who these people are, and they can know deep inside the core essence of their soul what these people need to do to feel good about themselves, to create in their lives, what they need to do to stop being in pain. And the projector, with all the love in their soul and spirit, can step forward and say, hey, why don't you just do X, Y, and Z? And everybody in their family will turn to them and go, who asked you, bossy pants? Or they can offer up that advice and people won't even hear them. Or people will hear their advice, take the idea, and never give them credit for it. And let me promise you, this needs to to guide and direct other people, and sometimes it is correcting. It's a soul-deep, bone-deep thing for a projector. Now, I never understood this before because I have 5 kids. 4 of my kids are generators and manifesting generators. My 5th kid, who is 4 years old, is a projector. Now, I have started locking the window by her car seat because when we stop at stoplights, if I don't block the window, she rolls down the window and yells things at people like, hey, you should stop smoking. It's really bad for your health. Or she yells things like, hey, why are you riding your bike without a helmet? Don't you know you could hurt your head? And so I have now locked the window because I got to keep her from trying to guide and direct people from the back seat of the car at a stoplight in the middle of the city, because I'm so certain that one of these days somebody's going to get really upset with her. So it's a natural thing for a projector to do this. I call these people, these are usually generally the light workers of the world. A lot of my projector clients are healers, coaches, life coaches, intuitives. You know, they have a role in life that's of helping people, and they genuinely want to. But for them to go out in the world, they have to be recognized and invited first. And there's a real fear here that if you go out into the world and have to wait, who's going to ask you? Who's going to invite you? In addition to that, just to make it even more interesting, the projector is not here to work in the traditional way that we think of as working. And a lot of projectors know that intuitively. They can't figure out what's wrong with me, why don't I want to work? But they don't because it's not correct for them. Not in the traditional way. They can still work, obviously, and obviously they're still supposed to be having an income, but they don't go about getting work in the traditional way. And so when we tell projectors, turn in your resume and then call them, the next day and tell them, hey, I just wanted to make sure you got my resume. That doesn't work for a projector. It's in fact, it kind of works the opposite. It's like if a projector calls and says, hey, I just want to make sure you got my resume, we respond with, wow, that's just really irritating. We're not going to call this person because it's not correct for them energetically. And it's not that that person isn't ideally suited for the job. They very well might be. And it might be that business's great loss to not hire that projector. In fact, I would probably guess that it is. But they're not entering into it correctly according to their energy. And with the projector, if you push too hard, people will shut down and push you away. And that's a difficult thing. And really for the projector, there's a lot of, it's such a different way of being in the world. Most projectors, when they discover they're a projector, they go, oh, God, that's what it is. I knew it. They know they don't operate the same way. and they don't get the same results. And at the same time, there's also a lot of concern with, well, if I don't do anything and I sit here at home, what's going to happen? Now, I don't always advocate sit here at home and wait, but I do say go do what you love and go do what you enjoy while you're waiting for your big opportunity to show up and to come along. If you're a projector, you don't have to wait, by the way, for an invitation to dinner. You don't have to wait for somebody to tell you, oh, hey, you should go do your laundry. Okay, you don't have to wait for little things. But you do have to wait for big things. Love, marriage, moving, career moves. Those are the things that need to be entered into by invitation. And I'm just going to share with you my absolute favorite projector story. My former spouse is a projector. And by the way, he's one of my best friends, so I enjoy talking about him. When we first got divorced, he decided he was going to go back and start his acting career again. But he decided, since he's a projector, that he was not going to go to any auditions because that's not acting like a projector. You know, projectors need to wait for invitations. So he sat at home on the couch, and everybody got mad at him. Everybody said, you can't get a job sitting at home on the couch. He said, yeah, I can. Watch me. Okay? So he did. He sat on the couch for a couple months. And lo and behold, one day, this really cute girl knocks on the door. And, of course, he gets up off the couch to go open the door. And he strikes up this conversation with this really cute woman who's knocked on his door. And as they're talking, she says, well, you know, you're really funny. Because he was being really charming that day. And he said, oh, well, thank you. She says, you know, I work at the comedy club downtown. You should come downtown and audition for the comedy club because we're holding auditions this weekend. That's an invitation. So he goes down to the comedy club. He goes to the audition. By the way, this is a highly coveted position. Everybody wants to work improv at the comedy club, right? This is in a big city. He goes downtown, goes to the audition, gets the job. He literally got a job, from sitting on the couch. It defies the odds of what we're trained. It defies, our thinking. We don't normally think that way, but for the projector, it's really how it works. And a lot of times for the projector, you have to stop moving and have to stop doing all the stuff that you're doing so the invitations can find you. And while you're waiting, do what you love. Follow your passion. Go research things on the internet. Be in your joy. You never know where the invitation is going to come from. So be yourself while you're waiting. The last type is called the reflector. The reflectors are less than 1% of the population, so they're not very, very common. The reflector is actually completely empathic. They have a chart that basically completely what we call open, meaning they are absolutely here to be impressed upon energetically by the world around them. And ultimately, as they take in the energy of the world around them, they have a role in life of reflecting that energy back out to people. So they have a role of sort of being the barometer of the energetic health and wellness of the community that they're in. Their decision-making strategy, because they're always processing so much energy, their decision-making strategy is to wait the full cycle of a moon, or 28 days, and sometimes longer, until they feel clear about making a decision. They have to kind of process a lot of energy to really kind of tease out, is this mine or is this someone else's energy? Now, you can imagine when you have a life path of waiting 28 plus days to make a decision in our super speedy culture, how challenging that can be sometimes. And of course, this also can be very challenging if you're in a community that isn't feeling very healthy or joyful or abundant. And I always talk about reflectors in the context of Michael Jackson, who was a reflector. Michael Jackson, was a reflection of, I think, the health of the entertainment industry. And I won't say a whole lot more. You can probably draw your own conclusions from that. But I think when we look at his life and we think of his life as being a reflection of that community, I think that he showed us, unfortunately, in a very tragic way, that there's some things we could probably work on in the entertainment industry to make it a healthier, more abundant industry for everyone. So that's it. 5 types.
Wow. Well, and I do, like, as you go through, and I'm sure everybody else discovered this as well, suddenly that desire to be like, ooh, I'm that, you kind of relax and you go, ooh, I want to be that one. You kind of relax and go, oh, okay. And then you just start to see yourself reflected. And I think, do you discover a lot that people, they don't just see themselves reflected, but sometimes they see, oh, I've been, as you said, we're all trained to act as manifestors, even though that might not be who we are. So do you see that a lot where people are then able to go, oh, okay, that I was trained to be that, but that's not my real deal. I mean, that must be really freeing for people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the big piece is really when you can make peace with the beauty of who you are and the truth of who you are with your energy, it is a totally liberating thing because you start to melt the resistance in your life. You know, so much, as I said in the beginning, so much of the pain and the resistance that we experience in life is oftentimes not because we're blocked or stuck. You know, I watch people go on these tremendous journeys trying to figure out, why am I stuck? Where am I blocked? And I don't really think a lot of times that it has anything to do with being stuck or blocked. It's more that we're trying to be something we're not, and we're trying to engage with life in a way that's not right for us. And when you can hit that sweet spot of really being true to yourself, a lot of that resistance goes away. A lot of that, you know, trying to be what you're not goes away, and everything sort of clicks into place. It's really, to me, that's the most beautiful part about design, is when people really do get into that space and go, okay, I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to live it out, and watch how quickly the universe goes, okay, here you go, click, 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 click. Everything just snaps into the right place because it's in alignment with truth. And it's just so beautiful to watch that pure expression of the soul in the way that it intended to be expressed in this lifetime. You know, it really shows the body graph itself, the chart that you get, to me, is an archetype or a representation of everything that's possible for mankind. It's got every quality of being human in it. And what you see in that is that there is no suffering in that archetype. There's no energy for suffering in that chart. There's no energy for being in pain in that chart. That's not a natural state of being a human. That's something we made up. I don't know why we did, but we did.
So all of that struggle and all, that just comes from being incongruent with who we are. So when you talk about, you know, finding your unique work and your money blueprint, is that what gets discovered when you're doing this? You know, are there specific techniques to finding your unique work and money blueprint, or is that all of what ends up being revealed when you go, oh, okay, this is my type, so I can start paying attention and waiting for the sign, or any of the stuff that you just told us?
Well, I think that certainly in each individual chart, you can go deeper into the different aspects of what's in a chart, and that's going to give you more specific clues in terms of purpose and direction. But as I kind of said in the beginning, you know, the sublime simplicity of it is you don't have to know all that stuff. You just have to live according to your design, and life just kind of brings you what's correct. So, you know, as I said, it's an absolutely fascinating course of study. You know, people
right.
But this, you can keep it absolutely totally simple, and it is find your type, live your strategy, watch your life click into place.
Love that. So that is your blueprint. And that's, you know, and that makes so much sense. It's like, okay, you could go into it in depth, like you loved it, you were like, or you can just go, oh, okay, I just need to, as you said, it's as simple as, okay, I just need to know my type and live with that strategy. And then you're absolutely right. It's almost like, can you relax more? Do you find that people start to feel that?
It is. And it's kind of funny because our tendency is to be sort of doubtful and suspicious that it could be that easy, but it really is pretty easy. It's simple. But
right. It's simple. It's just that, as you were saying about some of the types, there might be some things that aren't, you know, how you said with the manifestors, you know, letting people in on what they're doing. That might not feel natural, but how great that then you can go, oh, but this is going to really help you sort of be able to communicate better. And, you know, so I love that it is that simple, and it's just about being aware of it, right? There's a huge awareness that gets revealed in all of this, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Can you share with us, just because this is, first of all, how you describe it and how you explain it, aside from the passion that you have for it, which is absolutely incredible and I love, it makes it very clear. So it doesn't feel like this sort of abstract thing where you're like, oh, okay, I kind of get that. You really, I mean, as you were going through the types, I really was like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Now, what happens, before I ask you my next question, what happens if, as we were listening, we're like, oh, I can feel a little bit of that and a little bit of this. Does that happen? Like, where
it
maybe
does.
we feel like a couple types?
Absolutely. That can happen quite commonly. And usually there is that basic piece of the chart. Of course, the system itself is complex. You know, I'm not going to tell any lies about it. There are 9 energy centers. There's 64 gates. There's 32 channels. there's 12 profiles. I mean, you could really, if you start doing the permutation statistically of all the possibilities, you could be a lot of different things. And certainly there are different things within individual charts that will influence certain ways of perceiving yourself. But usually the types are pretty clear, cut and dry. Most people will relate more to one type than to any other type. If you don't, it may be that you've got some inner conflicts in some of the designs in your chart, or different strengths in your personal chart.
Okay, very cool. Okay, so what I would love to know, this was the question I was about to ask you, and then I thought of that, is do you have, just because it's so helpful for, like, you even shared that one story of, and you were like, I'm going to teach the class, and you had that story of when it didn't work, and then when you sort of started playing with the universe, and it did work. So do you have any other stories of people that have done this with you, just to share with us so we can see what's possible, of, like, different shifts or things that they experience in their lives as a result of going through and learning about what their type is and working with that?
Oh, I think I always have to share this story because it's one of my first human design sort of success stories, and one that I love the most. In human design, there is an energy, and this gets more into some of the subtle energies in the chart, but there is an energy called the gate 53, and it's the gate or the energy for starting things. And what's so beautiful about human design is it shows us that there are some people in the world who are here to start things and not necessarily finish things. And also the converse is true. There are actually people who are here to finish things and struggle sometimes with getting things started. Hopefully those two meet up and they go into business together. But one of my clients was an engineer for a very big oil company, and he had the gate 53. He had the energy for starting things, but not the energy for finishing things. And in his job, he was put in the position of project management. So his job was to see a project through to its completion, basically, which was completely against his nature. And he really had a hard time. Brilliant man, had a degree from an Ivy League university. I mean, he was a very smart cookie, but really struggling in his job. And he actually got in trouble. He actually got demoted, actually took a big pay cut, and he was miserable and couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. So, and he had been like thinking, do I have ADD? I mean, he was really going down a dark path with what was wrong, quote unquote, wrong with him. So when we looked at his chart, he said, well, you're really good at starting things, but you're not really designed to finish things. Why don't we look at seeing if you can be positioned in a different place in the company? So he really thought about this for a while, and he went back and he said, look, he went to his company boss and he said, I really want to be in project startup. I don't want to do project management. So his boss finally said, okay, I want you to go overseas. I'm going to put you in charge of project startup over here in Sweden. And so he took this job in Norway as a project startup manager, did excellently, and began to move up very quickly within the company. And it just had a whole lot of success. And most importantly, really started to feel good about himself, really started to feel good about himself as a dad, totally changed his life, all because of just that one little piece of information that was in the chart. So that's always my favorite story. And really, I think probably one of the most powerful stories, not the most, but one of the many powerful stories that I have of people kind of recognizing their innate qualities and starting to shift their life in that direction that's in alignment with their innate qualities.
So cool. I love that. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, there really is, and even through that story you shared with yourself, and I can even think of like, oh, yeah, there are times where I was not being authentic. And you even know it. I think there's like an inner knowing that, would you agree? Like when you're fighting against your type.
Yeah, it's an inner knowing. You feel uncomfortable, and also things aren't working. I mean,
Yeah.
Like, it's not working. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is so cool, Karen, and I love this, and I love being able to, because I think this is really an exciting way for people to take control of their life, and that's what I love doing. That's what I'm here for. Obviously, there is so much more with this. So you created a special offer for everyone when I asked you to, which is, thank you so much for doing that. This is really, really cool, and I highly recommend this. So we've made it really simple for you. You can just click on the special offer button that is on this page, and definitely want to be on the page to hear Karen talk us through what we're going to find here, because, as I said, this is so cool. This is such an amazing tool. So go for it, Karen. Let us know what we'll find.
Okay. So what I found, and the reason why I put this together, is once people get their human design chart and really start to think about, well, who am I and what am I and where do I go in life, they really start, people really want to know, how do I integrate this into my real life? So I put this self-discovery kit together to give you a really good, solid grounding in how to live your human design in a practical way. I used to joke, I'm a suburban mystic. I like things to be normal and easy to use and quick. So I put together a really nice package that's got, first of all, the Human Design Level 1 Core Training Course, which is it's a 6-hour training that goes through in depth all of the different types. So it covers the projector, the manifestor, the manifesting generator, the generator, and the reflector. And it gives you not only a really deep, solid understanding of you and your type, it also helps you understand your kids, your lovers, your parents, your partners, your spouses, your friends, even your boss, if they'll give you your birthday, so that you can start not only living true to yourself, but also start really honoring and respecting the people around you and really treating them in a way that's in alignment with their energy. So when a couple of years ago, I did a survey, and I asked my subscribers to my list, what do you love most about human design? What was the greatest benefit you got from human design? And I was so surprised because, people obviously get a lot of benefit from human design, but I was so surprised by the number of people who said, what I really learned was how to unconditionally love and accept the people around me and how to stop judging people. And when I learned that, I thought, I've got to teach people about all the types so that not only are they going to learn about themselves, but they're really going to learn how to love people better. So that really core information is in here, and it's deep, and each recording is about 2 hours long. It comes with a slideshow that goes with it, so you can see kind of where it is on the chart, so you can take your chart and go through it. It's got study questions with it and little, actually kind of fun videos that go with it. So it's a really nice, in-depth home study program. Now, I also know that when you take a home study program, it's really nice to get hooked into a community, and sometimes you have questions, and you want to just talk to people about what you're learning. So part of the other packages I included are a free membership to our weekly forum. So once a week on Mondays at 12:45 p.m., we meet Central Time. We meet live on the phone, and you either meet with me or one of my members of my Human Design Standards Board. And you can bring any question that you have about human design to the open forum. You can even submit charts ahead of time, and we can put the charts up on the screen, and you can look at the charts while you come to forum, and not only have a place to get your questions answered by a live human being, but also you get to connect with the human design community. Our forums have gotten so big and fun that we're probably actually going to break them up into beginning and advanced forums soon, just so that we can, we have so much fun. Sometimes we go way over the hour that we're supposed to right now. So, but it's really just a great place to meet people, to connect with people, and most importantly, just have live contact with someone to help you deepen your understanding and awareness about who you are and your chart and what you're here to do. The next thing I threw in, this is a $47 value, I threw in the generators and the manifesting generator course. This is an in-depth course that teaches you all about what does it mean to be a generator or manifesting generator, which is a great resource for you if you're a manifesting generator, or if you love one, so that you can really help them unleash the power of their energy and help them discover the true joy of being a builder in the world. So again, this goes back to that whole theory that I have, that the more we teach everybody about all the types, the more we can create unconditional love on the planet, and also, of course, discover more deeply who we are and live that out true to our own type too. Third thing that I put in the package is the Projector Survival Guide. This is actually a powerful course for projectors and people who love projectors, created by a projector. So our projector teacher, Kyle Curry, actually walks projectors through all the aspects of what it is to be a projector, how to get work as a projector, how to manage your energy as a projector, how not to burn out as a projector. This is a $75 value. This program comes not only with recordings, but also a nice PDF manual and, again, discovery questions, and, of course, live support forum. So the third part of the program that I put in here is a class that I taught. This is a 6-part class called Deconditioning by Design. This is a $147 value. In this particular program, I actually walk you through the energies of all the 9 centers in the chart. There are different energy centers in the chart. Each one of these energy centers are responsible for processing different kinds of energies, and the way in which you process the energies oftentimes can show you why you might be stuck in a certain place, why you might have certain behavioral patterns. And in the Deconditioning by Design program, I show you how to bring out the best of those energies so that you're not stuck or struggling with energies, and so that you can really live out the full wisdom of your energy and express it fully. This is really a key class to help you break old behavioral patterns. And what I did in this class is I actually married human design with the emotional freedom techniques, EFT. So you don't only learn just human design, you also learn EFT and how to use EFT to kind of break some of the energetic habits that you may have formed over the course of your lifetime. The next program that I also put in here, and this is also $147 value, is called the Abundance by Design program. And this is a program where, again, we go through specific energies in the chart and we look at it in the context of deliberate creation. So what I show you in this particular program is how to use universal law, deliberate creation, law of attraction, all of that stuff in the context of your personal unique human design so that you can really look at your abundance creating blueprint, your money blueprint, I like to call it, and look at how you can, again, get in there and rewire, not rewire yourself, but rethink the way you process energy so that, again, you can start moving through perceived blocks and maybe some of the ways you've been using your energy that have not been best for you, and really start looking at reworking with your personal energy in such a way that you can fully manifest your abundance, and not just your abundance, but the abundance that is perfect for you. So that might mean for you the little cottage on the sea with your writing desk instead of, the job in the stock market. So the last one that I threw in, because this is always a juicy one, is Soulmates by Design. This is just a short recording. I think it's just a couple of hours. It's a $47 value from the Human Design Specialty Series. It's called Soulmates by Design. When we talk about human design, we start to look at it in the context of relationships. It gets really fun and juicy because, first of all, you discover that a lot of times you have patterns in relationships that are oftentimes energetic habits that you've picked up over the course of your lifetime. And when you start to look at, oh, this is the kind of energy I'm always attracted to, and it's not behavioral, it's energy, it starts helping you understand the themes that you might have been working through in your relationship, how to maybe change those themes and really start living out the best in your relationships, and not just living out the best in your relationship, but also really moving into a deeper place of appreciation and love, not only for yourself, but for your partner, so that you can really raise your relationship up to a whole new level. I teach that everybody is your soulmate. There are some people that we're more attracted to energetically than others. There are relationships that are energetically easier than others, but that we all are part of the same soul family, and that when we understand this, it gives us the power to really love more deeply and more completely in a very different way. So that whole package, I've had people that literally have finished that package in a week. I can't figure out how they've done it, but it should hopefully keep you busy for a couple of weeks. There are about $600 worth of bonuses, free bonuses in that package. The cost of that package is only $97. So, you really only are paying for the Human Design Level 1, which is always a $97 program. And then you're getting all these other bonuses for free. I really wanted to make sure that if I gave you the Level 1 package, that I would give you enough material to also help you ground it in your real life. So it's a really, I think, a very important investment to make in yourself, and really gives you, I think, the very basic empowering nitty-gritty of how you can live out a life that's true to yourself, and how you can create with that life the abundance in every area of your life that's correct and good and fun and easy for you.
Here's what I love, is that you're not just going, hey, I'm just going to reveal your types to you. You're saying, and then I'm going to show you what to do with that information. So I think that's so cool, and I love that you have the community, and I mean all of that. It's just there's a lot to it that really allows you to feel very supported in living that, living authentically the type that you are. Now, let me ask you this. When people start, so they start working with this, what are some of the changes or awarenesses or whatever that they could expect to start experiencing very quickly?
Very quickly, what I would say the most important thing is, and this is the place where we get all hung up, I think we all get kind of hung up, is people start to discover their right work. Or they just start to discover that maybe they need to take a break from work in some way, shape, or form if that's necessary. It's amazing to me that one of the most prevalent themes that come out in working with people is the theme of burnout, and how many of us, I would say almost all of us, if we're not working correctly, we're kind of dealing with some level of burnout. And when we start bringing this up in the chart, people start really going, okay, here's where I am energetically. This is why I keep fizzling every time I try to go start a new business, or here's why I can't seem to get a new job. As soon as they get that piece handled, that work piece kicks into place. And I think the work piece kicks into place first because I think the universe is very wise and realizes that, hey, we have this money game that we play. On our planet, we believe that money comes from working, and that when we can work right, we get the money, which means basically we get the work piece correct, we start to create the support necessary for us to do and be the way we need to be in the world. So that's usually the first piece that starts to click into place. And then secondarily, I think the relationship piece comes in right after that. People really start to engage in their relationships in a much more empowering, much more loving way. And that applies not just to your love relationships, that's even with your parents and even with your kids. And it's I think it's pretty astonishing to people sometimes how just the subtle shifts in their own self-awareness and self-love radically changes their relationships with the people around them.
Wow, so cool. Okay, so again, everyone, click on the special offer button. It will take you right to the page. I highly encourage doing this. You know, the whole concept of living authentically to the type that you are and knowing then, you know, having a strategy, having a plan, as you put it earlier, Karen, to be able to follow that plan is just, it's such a freeing thought. And the more we all get in alignment with our true authentic selves, I mean, the better our lives are and the better the world is. So I highly encourage you going there. So Karen, you've been amazing. And I just love how you put this all together in it's so clear so that you're not like, oh, I kind of get it. It's really, really clear. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate your energy and just how passionate you are. Do you have any final words that you want to share with us? You know, what do we need to know from you before we leave you today?
Well, I think the piece that I would leave everybody with is, you know, I talked a little bit about the puzzle analogy. People often ask me, I want to make a difference in the world. What's the most important thing that I can do? And I always tell people this, you know, humanity is like this beautiful puzzle. And I have 5 kids, so if you ever do a puzzle in our house, I actually have a dog and a cat too. And between the kids and the dog and the cat, you know, puzzles have a very short lifespan in our house. You know, a piece gets eaten, or somebody gets frustrated and tries to jam a piece into the wrong place, or I've even had some very creative children who've tried to rip pieces into the right shape and then shove them in the wrong place. If you've done a puzzle, you know that when the puzzle comes together and pieces are mangled or torn or missing, it affects the entire face of the puzzle. For us to make a difference in the world, for us to continue to evolve and create a more abundant, more beautiful world, and I think we're right smack in the middle of creating something magnificent on this planet, the most important thing that each and every one of us needs to do is to assume our right place in the puzzle, and not just assume our right place in the puzzle, but to be the fullest expression of the piece of the puzzle that we are. So if you want to do something important, not only for yourself and for your loved ones, but for the world, I think the very first and most important gift you can give to the world is the gift of you being yourself, the way you created yourself to be, the way you intended yourself to be when you manifested in this lifetime, and to fully fulfill the expression of yourself as yourself. Of course, other stuff flows from that place too. When we are actually really living out our genuine abundance, then we have more abundance to share with the rest of the world. But take your piece in the puzzle first. That is absolutely the greatest gift you can give yourself and the world.
I love that. I absolutely love that. That was the brilliant thing to end it with. So I'm just literally going to say thank you, everyone, for being here. I absolutely love getting to spend this time with you. And Karen, you're just awesome. And I am so thrilled to have been able to share you with everyone and to be able to share human design with everyone. I'm just really excited for this and for them all to discover it. And, you know, I can't wait till we get to do this again.
Me too. And thank you so much, Kristen, for this opportunity. It's been a real honor to be here and to share this with you.
Well, thank you so much. And everyone, until the next time, keep manifesting. Bye-bye, all.